Serger, also known as Overlocker, is one of my favorite and most used sewing tools. However, I know that from the first glance, this machine can seem a little bit tricky. So in today's video, I want to share a few tips and techniques that will help you master your serger. This video is created in partnership with Brother, and the serger you'll see in today's video is Brother Airflow 3000. I've been using this overlocker for over a year, and as the name suggests, it has air threading, which makes changing looper threads a very simple task. So I will start with the first tip that I personally wish you would need to use as little as possible, and it's about removing the serger seam. Now, removing any seam can be a challenge, but when it comes to removing overlocker seam, because it has 3 or 4 threads, this task can be particularly challenging. But lucky for us, there's a way how to do it quite fast and quite efficiently. First, take a look at the overlocker seam from both sides. From one side, you will see straight stitches, and from the other side, only loops. We will remove the seam from the side that has straight stitches. Using a pin or seam ripper, start pulling out stitches from top seam of straight stitches. Once top row of straight stitches is removed, start pulling out the second bottom row of straight stitches, and when you pull out these stitches, the looper threads are also removed. After all straight stitches are pulled, you have successfully removed overlocker seam. Now, I wish that you need to use this tip as little as possible, but in case you need to remove the overlocker seam, remember this method because it is very fast, very efficient, and very clean way how to successfully remove overlocker seam. Now, in the second tip, let's talk about differential feed. Differential feed, aside from the thread tension, is probably the most confusing feature of the serger. However, it is also one of the most useful features. If your serger has differential feed, it means that it has 2 sets of feed dogs, the metal teeth under the presser foot, that can move at different speed rates. For example, when differential feed is set on 1, this means that both sets of feed dogs are moving at the same speed. When differential feed is set on 2, this means that front feed dogs are moving twice as fast as back feed dogs, thus gathering the fabric. And when differential feed is set on 0.7, this means that front feed dogs are moving 0.7 times slower than back feed dogs, stretching the fabric as it sews. So how can we benefit from using this feature? Now let's take an example of a very stretchy rib knit fabric. When sewn without engaging the differential feed, aka using setting 1.0, the seam is slightly stretched out due to the stretchiness of the fabric. When sewing same fabric but using differential feed setting 2, which slightly gathers the fabric, the seam lays completely flat and is not stretched out. In this third example, same fabric is sewn with the differential feed setting 0.7, which slightly stretches the fabric, and it results in even more stretched out seam than without engaging differential feed. When working with stretchy knit fabrics, knowing which differential feed setting to use when and why will tremendously improve your sewing results and will allow you to tackle even the most challenging knit stretchy fabrics and create a smooth, flat laying seam. Now, you may already know this third tip, but I think it could use a reminder because I completely forgot about this feature for quite a bit until it came very handy recently. And it's about changing the width of the serger seam on your overlocker. Now, your serger may come with different width settings, and knowing which width setting to use when will be very helpful, especially if you're working with very thick or very fraying fabrics. So for example, on the Brother Airflow 3000, you can select the different seam width varying from 5.5 to 7.5 millimeters. The standard seam width is 5.5 millimeters, and it works great with most seam finishes and most medium to lightweight fabrics. However, recently I've been sewing very thick material. This sweatshirt actually, which is made from 100% cotton, which is 500 grams per square meter, so it's one of the thickest sweatshirt materials out there. And using this 5.5 millimeter stitch width was simply not enough, and my results improved significantly once I made the seam a little bit wider. Using different seam widths is probably not a feature you're going to use a lot, but it's worth knowing when to use it and how it will benefit your project. In this fourth tip, I actually want to show you a technique how you can sew mock coverlock seam on any serger that you have. To sew mock coverlock seam, first remove the left needle and, this is optional, disengage the cutting knife. Fold your fabric first at hem seam allowance, then again at the hem seam line. Position fabric under the presser foot so that the right needle goes 1 to 2 millimeters from the fold edge and raw edge of the fabric goes along the knife line. Then start sewing using regular settings. After the seam is sewn, unfold the fabric, and from the right side of the fabric you'll see small ladder stitch, and from the inside you'll see raw edges are neatened with overlock stitch, resulting in very stretchy hem seam finish. This mock overlock seam will be very handy if you want to sew the entire garment using just your serger and you don't want to use your sewing machine to finish the hem, because using this technique you will be able to hem your fabrics, creating mock coverlock seam and creating a very elastic seam finish. Fifth and final tip I wanted to share in today's video, that if you want to maximize the potential of your serger, try using different presser feet. Yes, your serger also has different presser feet just as your sewing machine. If you want to learn more about different presser feet and how to use them, this is the video you should watch next. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned something new. I'll see you next time. Bye!